And let's see if we're going. My YouTube is going to be all. Welcome in, folks. If y'all are coming in right now, we're starting a little bit early. We're checking technical things. It's kind of like a sound check, just to make sure everything's connected for tonight's show. Dr. G, are you going? We're good?
Looks like we're live. Yes. I heard it. Now I need to catch it.
We're good on Facebook. Yes. So I don't want to keep our guests out there for too long because that's just rude. So I'm going to bring Kendra in right away since there she is. Welcome in, Kendra.
Well, thank you.
Good to see you tonight. We're bringing
people. Good to see you guys too.
And I will say this a few times as you're coming in, make sure that as you come in and want to invite people, type the @ symbol and the name of the people you would like to invite to tonight's call. If you think this is important, we think it's important, or we wouldn't be on here tonight. And if you're coming in, type where you're coming from. We've got people from across the United States right now, almost from coast to coast. Kendra, where are you? Are you back home now?
No, I technically live in Wisconsin, but I'm still with my mom in Florida.
Okay, so we are across the United States. So you're in Florida, we're in Alaska. So perfect. So I was right in that. Yep. So as y'all come in, type where you're coming in from. And we'd love to know that wherever you are. And it looks like Juniette. I'm going to go ahead and bring Juniette on. And let's see. We have, hold on just a second, Juniette. We are bringing you on. And we're still waiting for Mary's getting her camera in there. Let's see. Juniette, can you hear us?
I can. Just a second. I'll be right back. 30 seconds. Yeah.
That's all right. All good. Yeah. All good. All good. So we've got some special guests tonight, Juniette and Mary, who are new to me, and I don't think Dr. G or Kendra has met them. So these are our new folks that have been on their own journey to health and wellness. So we're going to get to hear their stories tonight for certain. So I'm excited about that. Anytime we get to have new stories is always a great thing. So again, welcome in. Tonight is Stories and the Science. We are really about a minute ahead of time. And for those of y'all that know me, I'm a stickler to time. So I got talked into doing this a little bit early tonight. So wherever you happen to be, we're glad that you're here. And tonight is going to be a great night that we're going to hear some great stories about health and wellness, and get to hear a little bit of science and get to hear about something that will change your life. Looks like I see Mary. Are you ready to? I'm going to bring you on, so just be ready. There she is. There she is. Mary is in the house. Wonderful, wonderful. And Juniette, we are waiting on. I know she's chasing kids around the house tonight. So totally excited that y'all are here for Stories and Science as we get to hear new stories. I'm Coach Ken, also known as the Wellness Preacher. So let's get this on the road tonight. As you see some new faces, and welcome into the channel. As I said a minute ago, if you have somebody you would like to invite tonight, in the comments section, type the @ symbol and their name. And if you would like to share this, just hit the share button and share that over so we get this out to as many people as possible that you think this would be important to hear. Tonight, we've got an incredible group of people, stories that I haven't heard before, some stories I have heard before. And if you know me, I've been a preacher for 30 years. I do a little bit of real estate, and now I do nutrition coaching. And tonight, you're going to hear some great stories. For me, it was getting hit with diabetes on top of being a cancer survivor, losing part of my vision from ischemic optic neuropathy, and so many other things. But diabetes was the one that got my attention and made me look at this. And I always joke around and I say now, my wife saved my life. So anybody that's coming in, you need to listen to a wife's. All right. That is so very important. And if you don't want to listen to your wife, listen to my wife, the beautiful Dr. G, because what she's going to share with you tonight in the science could save your life. Dr. G, would you share just a little bit about your story as a medical professional? You're in a different space now.
Yes, I am. Thanks, Ken. So for you who do not know me, I'm Dr. Gagliano. I've been a dentist for 30 plus years, and I am in a different space. I'm on the other side, I always like to say, because I am seeing such an improvement in health from this angle. For years, I was, on the side of the chair where I thought I was doing a great job. We were doing everything that we could. And then, I started seeing more patients come in that were having more and more problems, but they were also on more and more medications. And I didn't understand why. And so I furthered my education to figure out what the heck was going on. And it was 2 years ago that I was diagnosed with prediabetes. And I also 10 to 15 years before that was diagnosed with hypertension. And I also had thyroid cancer. So my thyroid was completely removed. Fast forward to the 15-year mark of 2 years ago, and my blood pressure medication was no longer working. And I was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic. And so I wound up figuring some things out and getting metabolically healthy. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Kendra, share us a little bit about your story. We've gotten to know you a good bit over this year, and you've got quite a story of your own.
Well, I actually I saw this in January of 2024. I never really got started on it right away because I was in that what they call seasonal depression. So January, February, March, April, finally in the middle of April, I decided to start looking into this and talking to our coach, Jim Grasser, about it. And started with having a conversation with him to understanding this, watching him and his team prior to that for 3, 4, 5 months, thinking there's nothing that's going to help me. Are you kidding me? Like, and I'm just getting old. I'm just tired. I'm just going to be whatever. I'll just take more naps, whatever. And finally time went on and I actually got up. I went to bed one night thinking, okay, this is ridiculous. I was only 52. What the heck? So I'm like, can somebody just give me a sign? Just give me a sign. So I woke up the next morning and I happened to get up early for work that day because I worked 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. used to. And I woke up early that day and here's Jim Grasser, the barbecue pitmaster, on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, that was a quick sign. Thank you. And I started listening to him. And I left for work. And right before I left for work, I said, I need to have a conversation with you because I still don't think this is real. Well, fast forward, once I got on it, I was able to reverse my type 2. IBS is gone. My vertigo is gone. Anxiety, depression, and ADHD is gone. And it's just like, I'm like, wow. And I have like 11 health issues total that I've been in the process of reversing. And now it's just a matter of keeping everything maintained. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, tonight I get to hear some new stories, and I always love to hear new stories. And we've got some special guests here that we're going to hear from. Mary, would you share with us your story? I mean, you've come in here, and you know what? Every story is an important one because it's your story. So would you share with us tonight, how has your journey been in this?
Sure. Ken, I thought I was doing just fine. I was pretty focused on health and pretty active most of my life, but post-menopause just kind of smacked me in the face and I kept gaining weight. And I thought, okay, this is what they're talking about. This is why we're all overweight. Like this is going to be a part of getting older, is gaining weight. And there were some days where I would just hit a wall and I would literally curl up in bed. Like the thought of just going to the grocery store or making a list and then going to the grocery store was too much. That was my main thing. I was not on any medication or anything like that. But I started on the protocol because somebody told me one sentence. They said it is oftentimes better than medication for all these different things. And that was something that perked my ears for my husband. But I thought, hey, I'm going to give it a try too. And I lost 10% of my weight and got down to where I've always wanted to be, felt comfortable in a bathing suit this summer. I mean, that's a big deal. So it's my simple little story, but it's changed my life. We live a very active life and tons of energy. It's a lot of freedom for us.
And see, it's your story. And that's
No
what
need to
matters.
exaggerate.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Juniette, I got to meet this week as well on the phone. And so it's nice to meet you in person, Juniette. So you've gotten 4 folks setting you up here. So I'm excited to hear your story. And it seems like when we talked, you got quite a story yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I could tell it all in one sitting. However, I'll highlight a few things. So I got started on the protocol in September. Backstory is that I've been sick for a while, on and off with different things. I look at some of the things that I see the protocol being able to do, and I'm like, oh, check, 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 that's me. Or if it's not me, it's other people. I think some of the big things for me were that when push came to shove, you know how you try to address one thing after another, and you like plant-based eating, maybe if I do a cleanse, maybe if I do XYZ, and it doesn't help. And then finally, they found a tumor in my ovary, and I also had like this huge, massive, massive fibroid that they said was the size of a watermelon. And I think that's when push came to shove. My friend called me up, and for the same reason, Mary, like you're talking about menopause, she was like, going to get into perimenopause. This is going to exacerbate things. You need to get on top of things quickly. I was having like different kinds of growths happening, and I was having a lot of headaches. I was literally living off of ibuprofen every morning in terms of like the headaches, hot flashes. Again, I'm cold. My husband is like, it's the temperature is the same that it was last night, but just like hot, cold, this, that. The lack of focus, just not being able to keep going. Then some of the things that are interesting, and I'm glad that you mentioned, Dr. G, about dental. I just came from the dentist. That's why I was a little late getting here, chasing kids. And I remembered that one of the things that happened before the protocol was that I'd gone for a dental checkup, and they were like, your teeth are receding, and they're receding like an old person's, and we don't know what's going on. And then 3 months later, they were like, we need to see you sooner. And I came back 3 months later, and it was a different person working on my mouth, and asked her, what does it look like? What does it look like? I didn't know the correlation with regards to your health, your gut health, and your teeth and the oral microbiome. And sure enough, they're like, we don't see what you're describing. It was not there at all in the system in terms of what they were seeing. Just the constant fatigue, the fact that my eyes were, I was struggling to read the computer. Like right now, I can read. That was another surprising thing for me. Just all these things where you just unwell. I was constantly in pain. I had tendinitis. I had a boot on my leg. I couldn't be able to walk. So they're like, okay, you're going to have to wear a boot, maybe for life, and then we'll think about surgery. And it was just one thing after another constantly. And I was like, oh, it's just aging. But no, I'm not even 50. So why would I be experiencing things? Right?
Well, that's a great setup to the answers that we're going to talk about. Why is this happening to so many of us, Judy? That's just like, it's like basketball. It's like, you just gave a great point guard assist for Dr. G from dental to what has been happening
everywhere, every cell.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So we're going to give Dr. G the floor here a little bit to really unpack what is the science behind this, because you've heard incredible stories. We're going to come back in here in just a little bit, but you're going to hear about the science behind this. And then we're going to also hear about what it is that we all started to do that changed our lives from Kendra. So I'm going to drop everybody off. Y'all just stick around for a little bit and invite people that you've got, because this is going to be the time from good science right here, folks. So let me give Dr. G the floor, and we're going to learn a little bit.
Thank you. Perfect. And it was a perfect segue. Yes, perfect. So from gums to gut, a metabolic reset. I always say the mouth is the window to your metabolic health. If you do not have a healthy oral microbiome, you do not have a systemic system. So let's get into it. Let's see. So one of my favorite quotes, the doctor of the future will give no medication, but will interest his patients in the care of human frame, diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. In other words, we're going to be focusing on prevention rather than medication, because that's where it's at. Medication only manages, okay? Keep that in mind. So How does this all tie in with our oral microbiome? We have an oral microbiome, just like we have a gut microbiome, and it can undergo dysbiosis, just like our gut microbiome can. So we're going to go ahead and address that as we dive into this a little deeper tonight. So as far as metabolic syndrome, what is it? It is marked by these 5 things, and they are measurable markers: high blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL, high fasting blood glucose, and a waist circumference larger than half your height. All right, so they are measurable. If you have 3 or more of these, you are more than likely metabolically sick. All right. 93% of Americans aren't metabolically healthy, so you're not alone. That translates as if you were going or coming home from work today and 10 people passed you in their car, 9 of them are metabolically sick, and most of them don't even know it. So what are we talking about here? So as time goes on, you may be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure or arthritis or PCOS, periodontal disease. You'll see that down there, and cavities. They are a systemic disease, even though many people do not look at them that way, but they are. So you may be diagnosed with these, and they have one common denominator, and that is insulin resistance. However, it doesn't start out that way, but let's talk about what insulin resistance is. So normally, what happens is when we eat food or drink, eat something or drink something, that turns into glucose. And glucose needs to get in our cells. Every cell of our body needs to use that glucose to power that cell and for all of our systems to work. Insulin is secreted by the pancreas that unlocks the receptor on the cell to help get all of the glucose in the cell for energy. With insulin resistance, something is blocking that receptor on the cell, or there's too much glucose already in the cell, so the cells don't want any more. So what happens is there's a buildup of glucose and insulin in the bloodstream, and that's where we start to get all these issues. Now, they don't start out as a type 2 diabetic. You don't start out with migraines. It starts off a little more subtly. You start off with possibly blurred vision. You are thirsty all the time. You're always hungry, can't ever seem to get full. Dark patches of skin start to appear. You may even get those skin tags. May even start to have chronic pain and to be tired. This can go on for 10 to 15 years, even 20 years, formal diagnosis. And that's where we start getting belly fat. That's that increased waist circumference. Those are those skin tags that we talked about. And what this leads to is more things called diabetes. We have almost pandemic of diabetes. 589 million adults in this country or in this world have diabetes, and it should be, it's increasing every day. 35% of Americans by 2050 will have diabetes. That's a third of our population, and most of them don't even know it. 30 Americans, and it's climbing every day, have diabetes. Prediabetes is, something that many people don't even realize they have. 1 out of 3 Americans have prediabetes. And back in 1980, there were 0 cases of type 2 diabetes in adolescents. 0. And, nowadays it is hundreds of thousands. I used to see them in the chair where, there were adolescents coming in at such a younger age, and we were diagnosing with type 2 diabetes. When I was in dental school 30 plus years ago, that was always something of an older generation. As high blood pressure, we're seeing that diagnosed as well at a younger age. So despite having, heart disease, being medicated with a foreign medication for that, despite all that, the leading cause of death is heart disease. So if medications were working, it should not be. It should not be something like that. And what is it? It is our diet. Our diet is what got us into this mess. So we need to concentrate on good proteins, healthy fats, and fiber. And what's happening with our modern diet? We are eating all the time. Every time we eat, we spike our glucose, and our insulin then has to rise to meet that, to bring that glucose down. The other thing is we don't have a lot of fiber in our diet. Our diets are very different than it was a long time ago. And as long as we're eating, you can see this graph right here. As long as we're eating all the time, that red line is our sugar, our blood sugar, our glucose is always high. And our insulin is always high. It never has an opportunity to come down. What happens is over time, we start developing all these things, all those things that we talked about, that PCOS, erectile dysfunction, high blood pressure, things like that. I was so happy to see that the food pyramid, the new one that came out, because frankly, eating all these things on the base of that pyramid on the bottom, grains, 6 to 11 servings of grains, that's all turning to sugar. Carbohydrates are processed into simple sugars. So with this new food pyramid, concentrating on protein and healthy fats and dairy, we need to concentrate on all those things, and fiber, getting that in our diet. So I'm happy to see that, because I was starting to look like the old food pyramid, to tell you the truth. So A1C, what is that? Well, it is a 3-month average of what your blood sugar is, the hemoglobin that's attached to your blood cells. And when you are 5.7 or below, that is good. However, you are still at cardiovascular risk. So it's something that you need to be aware of. Prediabetes, of course, is something that, like I said, it's a pre-insulin resistance, basically, or it's end stage or end result insulin resistance. But with high blood pressure, we want those numbers to be 130 over 80. All right. So why are statin medications? Why are they so common now? Because they changed the guidelines. People between 40 and 70 years of age. This was an article back in 2013. Basically, they said that if you're anywhere between 40 and 75 years of age with no history of diabetes or any cardiovascular risk, as a precaution, and your LDL is anywhere between 70 and 189, we're going to put you on a statin. We're going to do it as a precautionary measure. And this leads to the pharma loop. And we all know that this is, we have an Aunt Sally, and Aunt Sally was put on metformin, and metformin was for her diabetes. And this caused her to have, the diabetes was caused from a diuretic called hydrochlorothiazide. And she was using that for high blood pressure, which was caused by Ambien. And she was taken for insomnia that she got because of the Xanax. And she was taking that for anxiety. And it was caused by the Wellbutrin that she was taking for the chronic fatigue syndrome. And then that was being taken, caused by the statin that was being taken by initially for high cholesterol. And so, we all know that person. We all know that person. If you go to the doctor, they're going to give you a pill for every ill and not really address the root cause. So what is the oral systemic connection? Well, it's what we're eating. It's what we're eating, what we're putting in our mouth. And this leads to the oral microbiome and how it's connected with our gut microbiome, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, things like that, rheumatoid arthritis. We're eating. Talk about this. The tooth infections. Tooth infections can spread. They are a systemic disease. They can spread through the bloodstream, reaching our heart, our brain, and other organs, and they can cause serious risks. So it's very important to have a healthy oral microbiome. So one of the things that was found in those patients that were diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, and diabetes, there was a common bacteria called P. gingivalis. And that P. gingivalis is I would say, the leader in periodontal disease. It's the kingpin. It's the most destructive. And those patients that were diagnosed with diabetes, heart disease, and Alzheimer's disease all had this in common. It was found in their bloodstream, P. gingivalis. So one of the things that we need to find out is, how did it get there? How did it get there? So it's when we eat. We eat carbohydrates, they're sugars. They're broken down by salivary amylase in our mouth. And those simple sugars are loved by the bacteria in our mouth. And the bacteria process them, and along with their byproducts and things like that, they perform dental plaque along with acids in our mouth. The longer that plaque sits on your teeth, you're going to develop cavities. And also, when it sits on your gums, you're going to start to have those receding gums that we were talking about earlier, that Juniette was talking about. And over time, it's going to lead to a lot of inflammation. Well, what happens? So with inflammation, your body looks at this as a sign of, it's a sign of injury, basically. And your body needs to tackle that injury and bring it back to homeostasis. So it sends out the armies. It sends out the army of white blood cells and cytokines to help get it back into where it's no longer inflamed and not causing any problems. But as time goes on, it gets more and more inflamed. We continue to eat carbohydrates. We continue to have a buildup of plaque in their bacterial acids and all of the bacterial enzymes that are harmful. And what happens is that bacteria then enters into our bloodstream. And the bacteria of P. gingivalis secretes an enzyme, and it's called a gingipane. And these gingipanes disrupt insulin pathways. And when that happens is that they bind to the receptor on the cell that allows the insulin to open that cell to allow the glucose in. Well, if the insulin can't do that, there's a buildup of insulin in your bloodstream. There's also a buildup of the bacterial pathogens as well as the pro-inflammatory cytokines. So then that leads to being a diabetic. But diabetes is a little, it's bidirectional. So what happens is you are a diabetic, you're more than likely to develop periodontal disease because bacterial infection is what causes periodontal disease. And when you are a diabetic, you are more susceptible to infections because you are immunocompromised. So if you have diabetes, you're more than likely to develop periodontal disease. And if you have periodontal disease, you're more than likely to have your diabetes become out of control and need to be better controlled. Now, how does this translate to high blood pressure? Well, with high blood pressure, those gingipans pretty much do a similar thing because they are an increase in the bloodstream because they don't, allow that insulin receptor to open up the cell to get the glucose in. So they affect the endothelial wall or the endometrial wall. The endothelium wall of the blood vessel. And what that does is it messes with the nitric oxide production. And nitric oxide is important for your blood pressure because it allows for your blood vessel to dilate. So without vasodilation, there's a lot of rigidity that occurs. So it can't pump that blood effectively. So what happens is we have a buildup of pressure. When you have a buildup of insulin in your bloodstream, it lets the kidneys know that, hey, we're going to hold on to sodium. And when sodium is in the kidneys, what happens is then we also have water. And so with a buildup of fluid, then that leads to increase of high blood pressure. Now, how does this relate to, well, with the blood pressure, with this slide, I always liked it because it reminded me of when you plug up the end of a hose and then you turn on that water and it's that closed system. And what can happen is you can get that buildup of pressure and pretty soon it just goes higher and higher and higher. Now, with Alzheimer's disease, what happens is a little different, but we still have that P. gingivalis floating around in our bloodstream, along with all those toxins, along with that enzyme, that gingipane, and the pro-inflammatory cytokines with that P. gingivalis bacteria with your bloodstream crosses into the blood-brain barrier. So all that crosses over and it starts to disrupt the signals of the brain, because when your brain is relying on glucose and it's no longer available to those cells start to die off. And if you're not metabolically flexible to switch into another energy source like a ketone, then your brain cells start to die off. That's when you start to have those amyloid plaques. That's when you have the buildup of the tau tangles, and we start to see increased inflammation, oxidative stress, and that's when we start to go into cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. So I always like to remind there is no human condition made better by poor nutrition, and there is no human condition made worse by better nutrition. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and let my husband segue into what we're going to talk about on how to bridge this gap. What did we do? What we used, all of us, to help with making ourselves metabolically flexible, utilizing and making sure that we used both of our energy sources, glucose and ketones.
Right. Thank you, Dr. G, for an incredible presentation. And that's a great segue because it's really not about me. It's about Kendra. That's going to really tell us a little bit about how does this work? I mean, we talked about this. Dr. G gave a great presentation and helped us understand what's really going on here. But there's a particular protocol behind this. It's not just willy-nilly. And while there's lifestyle changes, it sure sounds like there's something that's a lot more behind this that really supercharges that. Could you kind of unpack this for us, Kendra, so we have a better idea about what this is all about?
It sure can. And so what we have available for people to try this, to be able to get metabolically healthy, is a yerba mate tea. And we can drink this in hot, cold, or room temperature water. It happens to be an anti-inflammatory, an appetite suppressant. It boosts your energy naturally. It reduces your brain fog, regulates your blood pressure, and it can do so much more for you. You have to understand that we didn't get sick overnight, so it's going to take time to get better. The fiber matrix that we are consuming and drinking has 7 soluble and insoluble fibers in it, plus prebiotics. What it's designed to do is to coat the lining of your stomach, to slow down the absorption and the digestion of your food, and it helps keep your glucose, your insulin, and your cholesterol levels from spiking. These products can be taken with medicine, and they are also in the PDR.net, which that's the physician's desk reference, or the physician's digital reference. These products are all natural, plant and fruit-based products with absolutely no side effects. That's the best part. The medicine that your doctor prescribes for you is all synthetic. It's created in a lab, and it has side effects. The yerba mate tea actually can increase your fat burning mode in a fasted state by 70%. The fiber matrix decreases the need for a lipid lowering medicine such as your statins. If you have somebody that you invited here, or if somebody just happened to scroll across and they saw us here, if you are following somebody, okay, make sure that when you are ready to purchase any of these products or talk to anybody about it or have questions, make sure you're using that person's referral link. And there's 3 reasons why. 1, because when you decide to purchase the products and try them out for the 90-day money-back guarantee, you get a discount every month that you place your order. You get a 90-day money-back guarantee, and you get a health coach for free. And when you're placing your order, you will actually get 60 of the yerba mate tea. You'll get 30 of the fiber matrix packets. You'll get a diamond unicity bottle and a hand mixer. It actually comes out to be approximately about $5.30 a day, which is $159 a month plus tax, and shipping is free. And I'll throw this out there because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I literally save about $300 a month in my grocery bill because I'm not eating half as much as I used to. Other people that I have heard from testimonies and talked to personally, they're actually saying that they're saving money on their doctor bill, their deductible, their copays, and all that other kind of stuff too. Not making claims. I'm not a medical professional. These are just real testimonials from real people. If you happen to have a health savings account or a flexible spending account, you can use that to purchase these products also. The yerba mate tea has the same natural effects as if you were taking OWM shots or metformin, and the fiber matrix has the same natural effects as if you were on a statin medicine. Here's a side note that I just like to share with people. If you or you know somebody who's taking metformin, that can actually cause vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin B12 deficiency is the leading cause of neuropathy. People are always asking, how do we take these products and what do we do, right? I'm going to break it down to you as simple as I can. So let's say at 8 o'clock at night, you're done eating your meal. You're going to let your body rest and digest overnight. So we're going to be doing an intermittent fasting from 8 p.m. at night until noon the next day. But don't freak out because here's why. The yerba mate tea, like I mentioned earlier, is actually an appetite suppressant. So you're going to be fasting approximately from 8 o'clock at night until noon the next day, but you're going to be sipping on your yerba mate tea, the first one, for the first 3 to 4 hours of your morning. Then when that one is gone, you'll sip on your second one for the second 3 to 4 hours. At noon, you're going to break your fast, preferably by eating a high protein meal. So an example would be eggs, bacon, sausage, cottage cheese, avocado, that type of thing, high protein. Then you do not snack on anything between lunch and supper. And then right before you're ready to eat your biggest meal of the day, what you would want to do is take the balance, which is the fiber matrix, dump it into 6 to 8 ounces of cold water, shake it and chug it quickly. And again, that's going to line the coating of your, or coat the lining of your stomach and slow down that absorption and the digestion of your food, like I mentioned earlier. Then you just go ahead and you just eat your meal. But here's another trick. If you want to keep your insulin levels from spiking right after you drink that fiber matrix, you want to drink your fiber matrix, eat your protein, then your vegetables, and then your carb at the end of your meal. That's just a little tip and trick there. When you're done with all that, you're going to be done eating, get all your stuff taken care of about 8 o'clock at night, and then just start over the next day. Consistency is the key. Ken, back to you.
To me, it's back to all of us now. So everybody gets to come back on, and we get to play a little bit of Hollywood Squares, if y'all remember that. So we're bringing back everybody in and filling it up. Welcome back, everybody. As we come in here.
Thank you.
Kendra, that was a great explanation. That was awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to go back because Juniette made the transition to Dr. G and talking about dental health. I think you're muted right now, Juniette. You may want to hit down in the bottom corner. Mm-hmm. There we go. Tell us a little bit about your story. When you heard that from Dr. G giving that explanation about dental health, how did that sound to you?
I was just like, this was me, totally me. And, the worst thing is that the dentist never explained this to this extent. They just asked, are there underlying diseases? Could there be something else? There's something going on with you. I didn't know. When I started on the protocol, it wasn't to address this issue. It was like a side effect, like, oh, look, I'm much better. I was just concerned that, oh my gosh, I'm going to start losing teeth. That's all I thought.
Wow.
I didn't realize that there's so much happening. Yeah. So thanks for doing that. That was and the slides were just amazing. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So as we kind of come into this time period, so let's talk a little about the protocol. We got to hear some about the stories. So, Mary, how do you do the protocol? I mean, Kendra gave an incredible exclamation, really, as to how we do it. How have you found it to really fit within your lifestyle? Because I mean, it really has changed your life. You don't feel like you have a big story, but it still changed your life. So, how do you put it together with what you were doing before?
Well, I will say it sounded pretty intimidating at the beginning, just like it was explained, like what I'm not supposed to eat until later. And I like to eat. I'm a foodie. I don't want to feel deprived because that's how I was feeling when I was gaining that weight. I kept eating less and less, exercising, and it was not working. It was not budging. But it was the snacking throughout the day that now we all know, right? That was blowing it. It didn't matter what I was eating healthy snacks, but so the first morning I was in there drinking it and going, okay, what do I do? And then next thing I know, both my husband and I got busy doing other things and not even thinking about food and not missing it. But the nice thing is when you do start, if you get hungry, this is not about deprivation. You go ahead and have a little something, whether it's a piece of beef jerky, a hard-boiled egg or something to keep you going. And it does get easier and easier. And that's what we found, that it's nice because we do a lot of sightseeing tours and things. And I always felt like I had to have a snack with me. I got to have an apple or a banana or some mixed nuts or whatever. And now we just take off. we have lunch and we have dinner and that's it. So
Yeah.
it was easy. My shopping is easier. My cooking time in the kitchen is so much simpler, and we feel great.
Right, right.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. So, Kendra, I mean, you were working up until here recently, and this has become your business of helping to coach people. But I mean, you were going, we were doing the 9 to 5 back and forth. What was it like for you? I mean, with the snacking, that kind of stuff, because we always had to, bring our lunches, and we were taught to eat. And those of y'all that are coming in, feel free to type in there the answer to this question. I always love to ask it. How many meals a day were you taught to eat? And I'm going to put it out there and kind of hear from everybody, but we were all taught something. What were you taught to eat, Kendra?
When I was growing up, at first it was 3 meals a day, and then later on down the road it became 5 to 6 small snacks all day.
Mhm.
And then time just went on, and it's like, what the heck? And then when I start this system, I was literally eating twice a day, but I was working 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. And like Mary said, the meal prep is so much simpler because we don't count calories, we don't count macros, we don't count points, we don't weigh our food, we don't measure our food. And I've done all that. So I took that out of the equation for all of you, just so you know the difficult part. And so, but now it's just a matter of you just make a meal and you eat it, but you want to eat it in the sequence of, your protein first, your vegetable, and then your carb at the end. And people are like, well, why do we want to do that? Well, because to put it simple, carbs turns into sugar. Sugar spikes your insulin. Now we just defeated the whole entire purpose of why we even drank our tea for the day.
Right.
But it's just simple. I mean, and I've been traveling a lot lately, and I just put it in a big, huge Ziploc baggie, and I take it with me everywhere I go, and it's just easy.
It surely is. Now, Juniette, you are running around today. You've got kids that you're chasing. So, with I think all of us, our kids are grown. But it sounds like you got little ones. So you got a whole other story. How does this fit in with your lifestyle? And how is your kids taken to this? I mean, how's that working?
So it's been a lifesaver, just energy wise.
Really?
Sometimes I'm like, how did I used to survive? I literally sit back and I'm like, I don't know. I had my daughter who always used to. Now they're already knocking on my window, asking for attention. And I have my daughter who used to literally say, Mom, since you're going to drop me for this at 8 p.m., I am going to keep you awake. But now she no longer has to do that, right? Because Mom is not going to be falling asleep as I drive and go and park somewhere. And I literally will park, go wait for them to finish whatever extracurricular activity and walk in that parking lot. Like I have energy for all of them, right? And so it's been phenomenal in that way, just being able to give me that extra energy as a mom. But I think the other thing that has also been really fascinating is now hearing my own, like my 6-year-old say, Mommy, I want the orange fiber because I give him half of the fiber. Since sometimes they're just those days when, as a mom in the US, I know that there are people probably watching from my home country in Kenya and they have house help. I don't have house help. And they're just those days when I'm not getting to the vegetables. So I'm like, here's some fiber, little boy. And now he thinks it's a really cool drink. And so what I found is that he's also begun to learn, he's even pronouncing the word like bacteria in my stomach that need the fiber, and just beginning to change the whole community amongst us. The fact that I have more energy, I can walk more, means that they also come out and walk with me. So that active lifestyle begins to happen, which we didn't have before. And then my eldest, like my daughter, early in the morning, I just make a high fiber breakfast. I mix up the chlorogenic acid tea, and she goes with it to school. So all my kids are on it, and my eldest, he's the jokester. He usually jokes that his grade point average has increased. He's in college, early college. He's 16, but he's in college already. He says his grade point average increases when he drinks his chlorogenic acid tea. But the truth is that the focus has just increased tremendously. And it's not just me. My own mother, back in Africa, in Kenya, has been able to get to a point where she's reduced her medications. And I just have story after story. One of my favorite, I'm glad you mentioned ADHD, is that I have a background where I work with children who are twice exceptional. That means that they're gifted and either have a learning challenge. It could be that they're also autistic or ADHD or whatever else. And I called up one of my friends and I was like, there's something about this and I want you to research it. And apparently she had already been researching yerba mate for 3 whole years. She was just looking for something like this, like praying for something like this. And so she started her son on it and her own kids, and she's off her ADHD meds as well. And she's been able to get off inflammatory things. It's just amazing how it begins to heal and increase insulin sensitivity to the point that you realize, oh, my skin. Everyone sees me these days and they're like, what's going on with your skin? Because my skin used to be like bumpy, not so bad. I began to manage it, but now I don't have to use any special lotions and super cleansing and all of these things where now I just get up and I can go. So it's just totally transformed just the living, grab my tea, grab, I always have it with me, get going. I can make it through the evening from early at 5 a.m. Yeah.
Well, speaking of dental, I want to go throw back this to Dr. G. There's something about this that you've researched a little bit early on too, that, we've talked about the things and changing in our food system and stuff. And of course, there's been debate about fluoride, but there's been some things about this too, that one of the elements that we always talk about related to energy, but actually it has another effect that I don't think most people know about.
Most people don't. We don't talk about it enough. There's theobromine in our Unimate, which helps with that steady, sustained release. So we don't have that, caffeine like rush and then crash. But what theobromine does, it also helps to remineralize tooth enamel without the side effects of fluoride. And now it does. Yes, it does. And it doesn't do this like, it's not one and done. This is just like with Unibate, and you need to be consistent. And as you are consistent with this, that level of theobromine will help remineralize tooth enamel, help to make it stronger, and not with any, won't have any of those side effects of fluoride. So,
yeah. So here, I want to throw out some different questions here just to get y'all totally thinking different. Cause I know that, I want to make sure people that are watching, and maybe you've got questions, I want you to put those in the comment, but I'm going to throw one out here because I love this one. I haven't had a chance to do this one in a while. I want y'all to think about, I think when you go, okay, well, we're going to drink this tea and the fiber, aren't we going to get bored with that? Well, I think that's easy that we could, but I know that in our house, we get a little bit creative. We don't just let there, and I'm always curious when I have guests on, raise your hand. Have y'all found a way that you like to take the Unimate or balance that's different than anything else? Just put your hand up, let me know, and I'll recognize you. Mary, you're first. You're quick there.
First off, we don't get bored with it. My husband had to do some lab work this afternoon in a fasted state, and he mixed his drink. And I was like, honey, you just drink water just to be safe. It might not matter, but just drink water. And he's like, wait, what? I can't have it. We went and played pickleball for about 2.5 hours before, and like, okay, but he really missed it. And that's not doing anything special, but it can be hot or cold.
Right.
With the new flavors or even the old apple spice, I would put a little splash of heavy whipping cream and warm it up. And I mean, it was just like, so it was cozy and good. You can add we have an amazing electrolyte that we like to add to the lemon flavored one. They're coming out with new flavors all the time. So it just makes it always fun and interesting. You can't get bored.
All right, Juniette, you put your hand up there too.
Yeah, we do crazy things here. So one of the things that I love is mint. So I do put mint into it when I want it cold, especially because I live in California, and the part of California I live in is super hot in the summer. Luckily, I started on this right in the fall, so it's still quite hot at that time. So I would cool it down with like the mint, so to have this lemony mint flavor. Then because I love hot tea, that's just a cultural thing. I like to get the lemon ginger, grate extra ginger into it as if it weren't enough. Yes. And
Oh,
it begins to taste like some, and add some spices that I have from Kenya, and begins to taste like something that we call dawa in Kenya. And I
Oh,
take it hot. And it's just so refreshing and just clears you up in the morning. And I
you're going
love
to have to share that with the rest of us. You cannot, now you put it
yes.
out there, you cannot keep it to yourself. You got to
and
give us
easy
the
one.
Love
recipe.
It's so cool. And then an easy one that I like is a cinnamon stick. Sometimes I'll throw that into the depending on the flavor, and just move around with it in a big bottle. The one thing I wanted to mention, because this is something that has come up a lot, especially for people from Kenya, has been that they find that the sweetness of it, because of the natural sweetener, the stevia, is a bit too much. So I end up over diluting my drink. Like most
Mhm.
people have it up to here, I have mine up to here. So I actually divide
Yep.
it into two. So that's something unique that I do that some people don't have to do. But that's why I'm able to divide it up, and I get the hot cup of tea with the grated ginger and the spices. And then I have the other version that I carry off with me as I run around and drive.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Dr. G, you look like you were eager to share something there.
So, one of the things I asked for Christmas was a carbonated beverage
Ah,
machine, or whatever you call it. It makes fizzy water.
mm,
And while I don't like soda and things, fizzy water. And I mixed my Unimate, so now it's carbonated, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer, especially with the raspberry pomegranate. It tastes just like a soft drink. It's just
exactly.
amazing.
I have to try that. I will
Yeah.
have to
Amazing.
try that.
All right. So before I share mine, Kendra, did you have something, or are you taking
No,
notes?
I actually found that I like to drink at room temperature, but if it's really, really hot out, I'll just stack this thing with ice. And
Oh,
it's perfect.
All right. So here's my magic one. All right. Now, this is going to blow a lot of people away. I think Dr. G knows where I'm going. So we make a lot of our own dairy thing, which before I haven't talked much about my story. I had a lot of food allergies, one of which is to all cow's milk. Since I got on the protocol, I can eat cow's milk products now. And
Nice.
that was something when I told the Unicity company, they were like, "What? We've never heard that." But no, my food allergies have gone away since I've been
Mhm.
on the product. I've gotten metabolically healthy. So we make our own Greek yogurt. I started experimenting one day with mixing my balance in my yogurt, and then able to throw in a little bit of fruit. And you want to talk about a replacement. If you needed a cold dessert,
mhm.
I can't give you one healthier than that. You're getting the fats, you're getting the protein, you're getting your fiber all in one. And I can sit there and I will down a bowl of that. It is the best thing in the world. And you know what? My gut loves it. It is one of the best things on my stomach. And for me, acid reflux and GERD has been an issue for me for over 20 years, ever since I was diagnosed with cancer. And that it wasn't gut cancer, it was testicular cancer, but it affected everything. My metabolism was thrown
Mhm.
off. So
Mhm.
okay, so we're coming to the last of our call. Now, this is a point that I like to get to. I haven't seen any questions that come in, but I like to throw out everybody as kind of the last little bit. As we're all on here, and as distributors, we're also coaches, and we've been working with people through the course of the weeks. And I like to throw out that opportunity to just think about what are some of the questions that we get maybe here recently that have kind of come percolated to the surface as we talk to people along the way that we've heard over and over again. And I want to start over here, first of all, with Kendra. Can you share, I think, what has been a question that you've been getting recently from some of the people that you've been working with in metabolic health and on this protocol?
The two biggest things I get are, oh my gosh, I have to fast for 16 hours. Are you kidding me? Like, that's a long time. And I have to say, okay, I understand that. I felt the same way. And think about it. You're sleeping for half the time that you're fasting. And the tea is an appetite suppressant.
Mhm.
Right.
The other one I get is, oh my gosh, it's $159 a month. I'm like, that's really expensive. I'm like, but hold on a second. If you were to go to breakfast, you're going to be spending over $5.30 for that breakfast. If you stop at the gas station, your eye catches all this stuff and you're going to be spending $25 to $30 every time you walk out, not even realizing it. And if you go to the grocery store, you're going to walk up and down aisles thinking maybe I should grab that. And next thing you know, you got an $80 grocery bill. And then if you go to a fast food place, you're spending more anyway. So $5.30 a day for something that could possibly change your life, and it's a 90-day money back guarantee. It's up to you. You decide.
Right.
Do you want to be managing, like Dr. G, you want to manage your health issue for the rest of your life, or do we want to help reverse and or put it into remission?
Right.
And then they think about it for a while and they go, you know what? You're right.
Definitely.
So,
Mary, what about you? What has been something that you've heard?
A couple things. One is they don't want to give up their favorite foods, and I get it. My husband was addicted to his Ruffles, and he loved his sodas, and he loved his cookies in the evening. And it's like, you don't have to give up your favorite foods. It is just what's been mentioned several times. It's a food order, and in 2 meals. Don't be eating those favorite snacks and stuff in the middle of the day, but have it at the end of your lunch or the end of your dinner. So he started doing that for not even a week. I'm serious. He has not bought a bag of Ruffles in 2 years, probably. No sodas. He held a soda. Somebody else said, "Could you hold this?" It was a sister's. I thought for sure he was going to take a drink of it to see, did I miss it? You know, what am I missing out on? He had no desire. I was shocked. And then the other one is, how soon will I get results? It's different for everybody. Nothing happened for me for a month, but my husband in 3 months lost 35 pounds and got off his decades of medication. So it's different for everyone.
Right.
Yep.
Dr. G, what about you?
Yep. Well, I always get the question, what's in it, which I find to be amazing, because when I'm prescribing medication, no one asks me that. And then what are the side effects of the medication? They always ask me what the side effects of this is. Lately, though, I've been asked, interesting enough, 3 times, is this something that I have to be on forever? And my question back to them is, well, is your medication going to be something that you're on forever? Because you have to, this is totally different. This is managing, or this is healing, where your medication is managing, like Kendra said. And once you become metabolically flexible, you can decide whether or not you want to be on this or not. I had a customer who in 4 months, she, reversed her prediabetes, and she felt healthy enough to where she was able to get off of this. We encourage you to give it, at least 90 days, see what goes on. You'll be amazed at what's going on. And even after 2 years of this, I'm still finding things healing my body that I didn't even realize that, was going on. So it's up to you. If the question is more, I guess, more concise of, am I going to be addicted to it? No, not at all. I mean, if you want to, get to where you're metabolically flexible and stop, you can do that. But I don't see why you would.
Right. Juniette, what about you? What's been something that has come up recently or regularly for your clients?
I think one of them is definitely what Dr. G said about do you have to be on this for forever? And I love what you've just mentioned. I would love for you to explain metabolically flexible, because I know that there are people listening who are like, what does that mean? But
Sure.
Because what happens is that we throw these words out, and and what people end up thinking is insulin resistance equals diabetes, so I don't have it. And that's one of the questions I get, is I don't have diabetes. So I'm like, this is not about diabetes. This is about insulin resistance that has a slew of other things related to it. But the other thing that I get is I'm a healthy person. I'm not fat. That's what I've literally had somebody say that. And I'm like, well, this is not an obesity drug. It's not
Right.
Something that you only take because you think you're healthy, because you've not yet gone and gotten the labs. I like to remind people, especially when they say, do I have to be on this for a long time? I say, well, if you look at where yerba mate comes from in South America, these soccer players literally carried over 2,000 kgs to the 2022 World Cup. Why they were doing that is because they needed it for stamina and focus. Like if it's for nothing else, and if they're that fit and if they're that healthy, and they have doctors who sports medicine and all that, they literally live in health because they're surrounded, expected to be healthy to get paid the millions that they're paid. Why wouldn't I take it for that
Oh, I
long?
love that.
Right.
What
So that's a
awesome.
big thing for me. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a great one. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap this up. What a great word. And folks, if you were invited to this call or you are seeing this call and it was one of these incredible people that has invited you to be here, it's because they care about you. If somebody invited you on here, I know there were some people in the comments inviting you to this. There's somebody that cares about you. If you're interested in learning more about this protocol, get with them. Get with the person that invited you or the one that you see up here that you know, because we care about you. And so if you're on our Facebook pages and you see this and go, wait, Juniette, you were on this show. What is it? Mary, you were on the Dr. G. What, yeah, Kendra, you guys were all on this show. I saw it. Talk to them. They're here because they're sharing their story and they want the very best for you. And we are so thankful you were on tonight. I'm so thankful for the four of y'all coming on. Kendra, Mary, Juniette, Dr. G is obligated because we're in the same house together. But I'm so thankful because, as y'all know, she brings just a wealth of science and understanding of metabolic health. And so everybody, as we sign off, I'm going to ask my guest, do not go away. I want you all to stay just because we go off camera. I want to keep you guys here for just a moment. But everybody else, we want to say goodbye and adieu. Have a wonderful evening. And as I say every time, go get the day, make it golden, go be excellent to one another, and go be excellent to yourself. Everybody say goodbye. We're signing off for the night.